Hi, I'm Lieutenant Anthony Mancuso. I'm a 30-year veteran of the FDNY and Director of Fire Safety Education. As a firefighter, I was called to homes every day to respond to emergencies. Now, as Director of Fire Safety Education, it's my job to teach people how to keep their homes safe. Through funding from FEMA and in partnership with the International Association of Fire Chiefs, we are proud to present a safety video for seniors living on their own. While it's true that accidents do happen, there are some simple preventative measures that you can take to minimize the risk in your home. I'd like to introduce you to 3 individuals living on their own. We'll take a look at what they do to keep their homes safe and maintain their independence.
My name is Helen Abers, and I'm a retired nurse.
I'm Leonard Mullins, and I'm a retired electrician. I'm 76 years old.
My name is Maggie Sullivan. I'm 80.
Though Helen, Leonard, and Maggie have some common limitations brought on by aging, each have taken some steps to remain safe and independent in their homes.
Well, my husband passed away about 7 years ago, and I've been living here on my own since then. He was the one who always made sure the house was safe from fires and accidents. That's up to me now. A Meals on Wheels comes by every day for a delivery, so it's nice to know that people will be checking in on me, but mostly it's just me here.
Helen has arthritis in both knees and has been having some back pain lately, but she doesn't let it stop her from protecting her home against fires.
On the first day of every month, I have a ritual that I perform to make sure that all of the smoke alarms in my house are in perfect working order. Now, I have been known to get dizzy when I step on my stepladder, so in order to avoid that, I use this trusty tool. That one's good.
Working smoke alarms dramatically reduce your risk of being caught in a fire. They should be located on every floor and outside every bedroom.
Yes. Oh, when I need to replace those batteries on my smoke alarm, I can't risk a fall standing on a stepladder trying to do that myself. So I just call my neighbor Joey, and he comes over and changes those batteries for me.
Checking them every month is simple. Press the test button, and if the alarm sounds, you're good to go.
It's loud enough, I think.
Sure is.
You can now purchase a smoke alarm that's good for 10 years, but you should test it once a month. And if you're hearing impaired, you should have a smoke alarm that has a strobe light attached and a vibration device. To review what we've learned about smoke alarms: 1. They should be placed on every floor of the house and outside each bedroom. 2. Remember to test your smoke alarms once a month. 3. Don't hesitate to ask a neighbor for help when replacing the battery or the unit.
Well, I like to eat and socialize at the center with friends, but to be quite honest, I love to cook, always have loved to cook. So I like to prepare meals at home in my kitchen 2 or 3 times a week for myself, for friends that I invite over. But when I'm working in my kitchen and when I'm cooking, I always take precautions to make sure I keep myself safe.
Leonard has been living alone since he retired. He has diabetes and he's hearing impaired, but his vision is still strong, so he drives himself to a meal center each day. Most fires begin in the kitchen, but Leonard doesn't let his love for cooking take away from his home's safety.
You'll notice I keep my kitchen clutter-free. Also, my appliances, I keep those unplugged when they're not in use. Now, the first thing I get when I come to the kitchen, the first thing I do is I take off my sweater, because I don't want my loose sleeves, getting anywhere close to the burners. I've got my pot holders here, I've got my utensils away from the stove, and also I keep this large lid handy in case there's a small flare-up. Well, I think we're ready to cook. Today we're gonna have pasta, and I'm gonna make my special marinara sauce and some garlic bread. It's one of my favorites. Will you join me? I like to prepare all my ingredients first before I fire up any of the burners. I don't want to be thinking about chopping tomatoes and onions while my pasta's boiling on the stove here like that. So that's what I like to start with. And when I do use the stove, I always put the pots on the back burners and turn the handles inward so I don't accidentally walk by and knock the pot off and spill piping hot marinara sauce all over the kitchen. You know. If I did have a flare up on one of the burners, I can just cover it with a large lid. And that would only be if it was a small and contained fire. Now, if something really serious happened, then I would know not to take any chances and, just get the heck out of there. Call 911. Oh, boy. Multitasking at my age is really not such a good idea. So if the phone rings, I turn the burners off, I go and answer the phone, I take the call, I finish, then I come back to my cooking. We can always come back to the cooking. We don't want any accidents while I'm off talking on the phone. You set a timer to tell me when my food is ready. And also, important thing is, when I'm handling the trays and the hot pots, I always use the oven mitts, not the kitchen towels. You don't want that. And if for some reason I get a flare up in the oven, I know enough to keep that door shut and to turn the oven off. Now, when my food is ready, I turn my burners off and I move the pots over to the counter, which is fire resistant, so I don't have to carry it across the kitchen or to the table. Now I guess I'm ready to plate my food and ready to dig in. Before I go to bed, or actually when I leave the house, I always double check to make sure my burners in my oven are off. I'm the only one around here, so it's good to double check.
Cooking is the leading cause of fire-related injuries for people 65 and older. But if you follow Leonard's example, you can maintain a safe kitchen. For review: 1. Keep your kitchen free of clutter. 2. Avoid loose-hanging clothing. 3. Keep flammable items a safe distance from all cooking surfaces. 4. Keep a large lid near the stove. 5. Prepare your ingredients before using the stove. 6. Place pots and pans on the back burners with the handles turned inward. 7. Never leave your cooking unattended. 8. Set a loud timer for anything you put into the oven. 9. If something in the oven catches fire, keep the door shut and turn the oven off. 10. Use oven mitts instead of kitchen towels when handling hot items. 11. Before going to bed, double check to see that the burners and the oven are turned off.
Hi, Grandma.
Oh, hi, honey. Oh, this is wonderful.
Maggie's husband, Frank, passed away last year. She's been dealing with depression and worsening glaucoma. Recently, she had a minor surgery and has been recovering at home.
Well, my daughter and my grandchildren live about half an hour away, so they come to visit me often. And Meals on Wheels, they come every day. But mostly I am here by myself. And it's an old house, so in the winter it gets pretty cold, We don't have central heating. Oh, I don't cook much anymore. But I do know that ovens are for cooking and not for heating the house. I have space heaters. I keep them in most of my rooms, and I only turn them on when I'm in the room. And if I leave the room, I always unplug them. I never leave them unattended. And whether they're on or whether they're off, I don't put clothes on them or any other objects. They're great for heating the house, but they're not tables and they're certainly not dryers. I read online that you have to keep space heaters at least 3 feet from anything flammable, like draperies, blankets, furniture. I have glaucoma, and with that problem, I bump into things if I don't see them. So I bought space heaters that turn off automatically if they tip over. You cannot be too careful. Every night before I go to bed, I make sure those space heaters are turned off. If it gets a little chilly, I just add another blanket.
Space heaters are the leading cause of fires in the home, so make sure you're diligent about using them properly. To review: 1. Keep all space heaters at least 3 feet away from anything flammable. 2. Never leave space heaters unattended. 3. Unplug space heaters when you leave the room. 4. In case they tip over, purchase space heaters with an automatic shut-off function. 5. Make sure space heaters are turned off and unplugged before going to bed.
I've gotten down to smoking just a couple of cigarettes a day. I'm trying to quit completely, but it's tough. And it's such an ordeal now for me to smoke because I almost always smoke outside. But with the walker and have to put my coat on when it's chilly, it's tough. But I'm not letting one of those little guys start a fire. First of all, I never, ever, ever smoke in bed. There's 1,000,001 things that can happen there. And when I do smoke indoors, I have my cigarette early in the day or early in the afternoon when I'm awake and alert. And I always keep my ashtray on a flat surface. Don't want to put it on anything wobbly. And when I'm done smoking, I wet down the ashes and the cigarette butts because I don't want any fires flaring up in my trash can.
The leading cause of fire fatalities for those 65 and older is careless smoking. If you're a smoker, it's important that you be aware of the potential danger at your fingertips. It's never too late to quit, because the best way to prevent fires from careless smoking is to not smoke at all. But if you smoke, it's important to know the proper precaution to take when handling cigarettes. For review: 1. The safest place to smoke is outside. 2. Make sure you only smoke when you're alert. 3. Use deep ashtrays on level surfaces. 4. Rinse the ashes with water before emptying them into the trash.
I was an electrician for 30 years, so I am pretty familiar with all the do's and don'ts when it comes to electric. And let me tell you, there's a lot more don'ts when you're working with electricity. But there are a few simple things that you can do to make sure your wiring is safe and you're not going to accidentally, start a fire. The first thing I always tell people is use your common sense. Now, we all use surge protectors, we use extension cords, but if you overload an outlet with 1,000,000 different things, you're going to run into problems. Now, the living room, for instance, in particular, the living room has a lot of gadgets. You've got your TV, you got your DVD player, hi-fi system, you got lamps. I got my favorite record player here. You just don't want to plug all of those things into the same outlet at once. And if you use extension cords, you don't want to run them across the middle of the room and under the area rugs. You want to keep them on the perimeter where you're less likely to trip on them. Oh, and another thing, if the cord on an electrical item is frayed, it's discolored, if it starts to crack, it's dried out, if it's emitting heat, these are warning signs from your appliance that's saying, hey, I'm not working right. Throw those things away. Get some new ones. Like I said, it's just common sense.
To review electrical safety in the home: 1. Don't overload your outlets. 2. Run extension cords along the walls and not under area rugs or across the room. 3. Be sure to dispose of any cracked or worn cords.
So you're gonna take these green pills.
I can't open them.
Okay, here, you hold that. So you're gonna take one of those.
Well, every Sunday, my granddaughter comes over and helps me organize my medications. I could probably do it myself, but I like to spend time with her. It is a lot to keep track of, really. I mean, some pills I take 3 times a day, one I take once a week, and then there are others you have to take after you eat. So I put all my pills into one of those little organizers. And when I go to the doctor, I always take my medications with me. I want to keep track of the doses, make sure they're right for me.
To review medication safety: 1. Keep your medications sorted in a weekly organizer. 2. Ask a friend or family member to help sort medications if needed. 3. Take your medications to doctor's visits to make sure your doses are correct.
Well, of course, I do everything I can to prevent fires in my home.
But accidents sometimes do happen.
Which is why I have a fire escape plan.
And a good escape plan means that you have 2 ways out of each room in the house.
I have limited mobility, so I keep a phone by my bed so I can dial 911 quickly in an emergency situation. And I also always have my cell phone handy.
And I have a safe place to go, so I can wait for help.
I mean, it sounds kind of silly, but it makes me more comfortable to practice my escape plan, every 6 months. I usually do that when I'm changing the clocks for daylight savings time. Just so I remember,
If there is a fire, remember to stay low to avoid smoke and to call for help once you've escaped the home. Do not try to put out the fire yourself or go back in your home for anything. That includes your pets. Wait for the fire department to arrive, and we'll tell you when it's safe to re-enter. While we've covered the basics in fire safety, keeping a well-lit, tidy home to prevent falls is equally important in maintaining your independence. Falls among older adults lead to thousands of serious injuries every year, and most falls take place at home, but there are simple steps you can take to prevent them.
With my back and knee problems, I try to do as much as I can, sitting down, like getting dressed in the morning. I also own a couple of pair of comfortable shoes with good traction to help me with my balance. In the bathroom, I've installed handrails and grab bars, and I have a nice non-slip mat in the bottom of the tub. I also test the temperature of the water before I get into the shower, because at my age, my skin's very sensitive. Now with my walker, I have to be very careful. I can get caught on a lot of things, so I clear out any unnecessary throw rugs, any unnecessary area rugs, and the rugs that I keep on the floor, I have a nice double-sided stick tape. So they stay put, and so do I. Now this might seem like a no-brainer to you, but I try not to rush. I take my time standing up, and I'm careful and slow getting from point A to point B.
Oh, my mobility and my vision are good. I get a little numbness in my feet from my diabetes. So that's why I like to keep all the items that I use on a daily basis. I like to keep those on a low or easy to reach shelf. And if I do have to get something on a higher shelf, I always use a step stool with a handrail on it, something to hold on to while I'm on that. And I like to take walks early in the morning, but I try to make sure my path is on a level sidewalk or a walkway. And I just started taking these Tai Chi classes. And I must say that I really see a big improvement in my balance, physical and otherwise.
Well, I'm recovering from surgery, but I'm working really hard at regaining my strength and my balance. I exercise 3 to 5 times a week, maybe 30 minutes. And I am still taking my medications, for my depression. But I think physical exercise really helps a lot. I do some shopping online and TV networks. So my house got filled with boxes. They were just all over everywhere. And with my glaucoma, sometimes I would bump into things. So my granddaughter came over and she helped me put everything away. So now all my hallways are clear. But that doesn't mean I don't get unbalanced, especially if I have a glass of wine. And I checked with my doctor. He said it was okay. I could have a glass of wine with my medications. But even one little glass of wine can make me feel a little, So I stay put, and I do one of those, Sudoku things. And then I go on up to bed. Well, now at night, my house gets very dark. My darn eyesight, I can't take any chances. So I have night lights around the house, and I have a nice path between my bedroom and the bathroom in case I have to get up in the middle of the night.
To review what you can do to prevent falls: 1. Wear well-fitting shoes with good traction. 2. Install a handrail, grab bar, and a non-slip mat in your shower. 3. Secure all rugs with non-slip backing. 4. Keep everyday items on low shelves. 5. Use a step stool with a railing when retrieving items from high places. 6. If you go for a walk, try to walk on a level path. 7. Light exercise 3 to 5 times a week for 30 minutes will improve your strength and balance. 8. Keep walkways free of clutter. 9. Use night lights to light a clear path in case you have to get up in the middle of the night. Everyone wants a safe home, and for seniors living on their own, the simple and effective steps Helen, Leonard, and Maggie take will go a long way in keeping you safe and independent. On behalf of FEMA and the IAFC, we hope you've learned a few things from them. So stay safe and thanks for watching.